The shuttle doors opened with a soft hiss and stepped onto the station for the first time. She held her breath. The air smelled different here. Clean, too clean, like nothing had ever lived or died in this place. Harmony was the largest space station in this sector of the galaxy. It floated between three star systems like a silver flower made of metal and light. They had built it 2,000 years ago, and they were very proud of it. They had a right to be. It was beautiful. But was not here for beauty. She was here because Earth needed friends among the stars, and someone had to shake hands with aliens. Someone had to smile and nod and pretend that humans were soft and harmless. Someone had to wear pretty clothes and speak gentle words. She was good at pretending. A tall figure waited for her at the end of the docking bridge. He stood almost 3 meters high, and his skin glowed with a faint blue light. His eyes were large and silver, like 2 moons set into his face. He wore a white uniform that flowed like water around his long limbs. This was Commander of the fleet. He was her guide, her watcher, perhaps her jailer in a way that was polite enough to ignore. He looked at her and his mouth curved into a smile, always smiled. They thought it made them seem friendly. Too, it made them seem like they were always judging something. "You must be the human delegate," said. His voice was deep and smooth, like a river flowing over stones. "I am honored to welcome you to Harmony." Bowed her head slightly. "Thank you, Commander. I am grateful for your hospitality." Studied her for a long moment. His silver eyes moved over her face, her hair, her small hands folded in front of her body. She was wearing a long dress made of dark blue silk. It covered her arms. It covered her back. This was important, though did not know why. "You are smaller than I expected," said. There was wonder in his voice. "I have seen images of humans, but in person, you are quite delicate." Smiled. She had practiced this smile many times. It showed nothing. "We are a small species," she said, "but we are happy to be here." Led her through the station. Everywhere they walked stopped to look at her. They whispered to each other in their singing language, caught pieces of it, words like tiny and soft and fragile. One young pointed at her and asked his mother if she was a pet. Kept smiling. The station was full of light. The walls were made of something that looked like pearl, and they glowed from within. Plants grew in every corner, strange flowers with colors had never seen. The air was warm and gentle, like an eternal spring. The who lived here had never known war. They had never known hunger or cold or fear. Their world had been peaceful for 10,000 years. They had forgotten what it meant to struggle. Had not forgotten. "Your quarters are in the garden wing," said. "I chose them myself. I thought you would like the flowers." "That was very kind of you," said. Glowed a little brighter, did that when they were pleased. "I must confess I have studied your species. Humans are fascinating to me. You come from such a harsh world, yet you create such beautiful things. Art, music, poetry. We have had much to inspire us," said. "And you," continued, "are perhaps the most beautiful human I have seen. Your features are so delicate. Your movements are so graceful. You are like a flower made of flesh." Smile did not change, but something cold moved behind her eyes. A flower, yes, that was what they all thought. Humans were flowers, pretty things to look at, decorations for their perfect station. They did not know about the thorns. Her quarters were large and filled with soft light. A bed shaped like a shell sat in the center of the room. Windows showed the stars outside, burning in the black ocean of space. Flowers grew on every surface, filling the air with sweet perfume. Closed the door behind her. She stood alone for a moment, breathing slowly. Then she walked to the mirror on the wall. She looked at her reflection. A young woman with dark hair and dark eyes, a gentle face, soft lips, the kind of face that made people want to protect her. Slowly, she reached behind her neck and unfastened the top of her dress. She let the fabric fall away from her shoulders. The mirror showed what the dress had hidden. Scars, dozens of them. burn marks that covered her back like a map of fire, long white lines where blades had cut through her skin, a pattern of holes near her spine where something with claws had tried to tear her apart. Looked at her scars, she remembered each one. This one was from the bombing at Colony. This one was from the night she carried 2 soldiers through a burning building. This one was from the creature that had killed her squad while she screamed and fought and refused to die. She touched the longest scar. It ran from her shoulder to her hip. A warrior had given her this one. She had killed it with her bare hands afterward, choking it until its many eyes went dark. Thought she was beautiful. He thought she was delicate. He thought she was a flower. He had no idea what grew in the soil that made flowers like her. Covered herself again. She looked at her reflection once more, and the gentle smile returned to her face. The mask slipped back into place. She was here to make peace. She was here to smile and nod and be the pretty human that they wanted to see. But beneath the silk, beneath the skin, she was something else entirely. A sound broke the silence. An alarm, soft but urgent, echoing through the station, went to the window and looked out at the stars. A ship was visible in the distance. It was dark and broken, drifting through space like a dead thing. Lights flickered on its surface. Distress lights. Something had happened out there, something bad. Watched the ship drift closer, and she felt something stir inside her chest, something that had been sleeping for a long time. The flowers on her windowsill swayed in a breeze that was not there. War had found her again. The station was full of whispers, could hear them as she walked through the halls toward the command center. They spoke in low voices, their glowing bodies dimmer than usual. They were afraid. Fear was a strange thing to see on their faces. They wore it badly, like a coat that did not fit. Commander met her at the entrance to the command center. His silver eyes were troubled, and his light flickered like a candle in the wind. "You should not be here," he said. "This is not a matter for diplomats." "I am a trained medic," said. "If there are survivors on that ship, they will need help." Stared at her. "You, a medic, but you are so small," smiled her empty smile. "Small hands are good for surgery." The command center was a large round room filled with screens and lights. Officers moved between stations, their voices tight with worry. On the main screen, the damaged ship hung in space like a broken toy. Elder stood at the center of the room. She was old for her light faded to a soft silver. She was the highest authority on the station, and she looked at with cold eyes. The human delegate said, "How interesting that you wish to join our rescue mission." "I wish to help," said. "Help" made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Child, you would shatter at the first sign of danger. Humans are not built for such things. Stay here where it is safe. Look at the flowers. That is what your kind does best." Felt something hot move through her blood, but she kept her face calm. She had heard worse words from better enemies. "With respect, Elder," she said, "I have seen more danger than most can imagine. Let me come. If I am useless, you lose nothing. If I can help, you gain everything." Studied her for a long moment. Then she waved her hand in dismissal. "Do as you wish, human, but do not slow us down." The rescue shuttle was sleek and white like everything the maid, insisted on coming with her. He said it was his duty as her guide, but saw the truth in his eyes. He was curious. He wanted to see what would happen when the fragile human faced real danger. He expected her to break. They all did. The journey to the damaged ship took 20 minutes. No one spoke. The soldiers sat in their seats with straight backs and calm faces, but their light was dim. They were afraid and pretending not to be. Sat very still. She was not afraid. She had used up all her fear a long time ago on a burning colony world, holding the hand of a dying friend. The shuttle docked with a soft thump. The doors opened and darkness greeted them. The inside of the ship was wrong. The lights were dead. The air was cold and smelled of metal and something else, something old and rotten. "Weapons ready," the squad leader said. His name was Captain and he was young and proud. He had never seen battle. None of them had. They moved through the ship in a line, their lights pushing back the darkness, stayed in the middle of the group where they had put her, where they thought she would be safe. She did not argue, she watched, she listened. The first body appeared around a corner. A soldier, or what was left of one. He had been torn apart. His light was gone, and his silver blood covered the walls like paint. His face was frozen in an expression of pure terror. Captain made a choking sound. Two of his soldiers turned away and were sick. Stood very still, his eyes wide. What could do this? Knelt beside the body. She studied the wounds with careful eyes. 3 parallel cuts across the chest, bite marks on the throat, a pattern she knew too well. She said. The word fell into the silence like a stone into water. That is impossible, said. They have never come this far into our space. They are here now, said. She stood up and her voice was different, harder. We need to move. If there are survivors, they will be hiding, probably in a sealed room with limited access points. They stared at her. This was not the gentle diplomat they had met at the docking bay. This was someone else. How do you know about the captain asked. Did not answer. She started walking deeper into the ship. They found more bodies as they went. All of them, all killed in terrible ways. They did not show mercy. They did not take prisoners. They killed because they enjoyed killing. Had learned this lesson in blood and fire. Then they heard it, a soft sound barely louder than a heartbeat, tapping, 3 taps, then a pause, then 3 more. A signal someone was alive. Followed the sound to a storage room. The door was sealed from the inside. She knelt down and tapped back. 3 taps, then a pause, then 3 more. The door opened. A woman fell out of the darkness, human. Her face was covered in blood and her left arm hung at a bad angle, but she was breathing. She was alive. Please, the woman whispered, please no more. Caught her and lowered her gently to the ground. You are safe now, I am here, my name is. The woman opened her eyes. They were dark brown, full of pain and something else, something fierce. She said, my name is, I thought I was the last one. You survived, said, how long? 3 days, coughed and blood came out. 3 days in the dark, they kept coming, I kept killing them, ran out of bullets on the 2nd day, used a knife after that, then my hands. Stepped forward, his face pale with shock. You fought them for 3 days alone. Looked at him with empty eyes. I did not have a choice. Captain was shaking his head. This is impossible. No one can survive for 3 days. No one. Looked at him, humans can. She helped sit up. The other woman was weak, but her grip was strong. The grip of someone who refused to die. We need to get her back to the shuttle, said. Now. What about the asked, are they gone? Laughed. It was an ugly sound full of darkness. They are not gone, they are hunting. They let me live because they wanted more prey. She looked at them with something like pity. You should not have come here. The lights flickered. Something moved in the darkness behind them. Stood up slowly. Her body was calm, but her heart was beating fast, not with fear, with something older, something that remembered what it meant to survive. Run, she said softly, run now. The screaming started a moment later. They were tall and thin, with bodies covered in hard black shells. Their heads were flat and wide, filled with rows of teeth that never stopped moving. 6 eyes glowed red in the shadows, and their arms ended in claws that could cut through metal. There were 5 of them, then 10, then more. Captain raised his weapon and fired. The bright beam of light hit the first in the chest. It fell, smoking and dead, but the others kept coming. The soldiers broke formation. They ran in different directions, screaming, firing wildly into the darkness. Their lights flickered with terror. They had never faced anything like this. Their bodies were not made for battle. When one of them took a hit, he collapsed immediately, could not handle pain. Watched the chaos for 1 heartbeat, 2 heartbeats, then something inside her shifted. It was like waking up from a long sleep, like remembering a song she had tried to forget. Her body knew what to do. It had known for a long time. She grabbed the weapon from a fallen. It was too big for her hands, but she adjusted her grip and made it work. She had used worse tools in worse places. "Behind me," she shouted. Her voice was different now, sharp, commanding, the voice of someone who had led soldiers through fire. Turned to look at her. His eyes went wide. Fired at the nearest. The shot took it in the head and it dropped. She fired again. Another one fell. She moved forward, placing herself between the creatures and the wounded. "Get the injured to the shuttle," she ordered. "Move now, do not stop, do not look back." They stared at her. This small woman in her blue dress, holding a weapon like she was born with it, killing monsters with cold precision. Now screamed. They moved. Was on the ground, too weak to stand, grabbed her arm and pulled her up. "Can you walk?" "I can crawl if I have to," said through bloody teeth. "Good enough." A lunged at them from the side, spun and fired. The creature's head exploded. She kept moving, dragging with one arm, firing with the other. Appeared beside her. He was shaking badly, but he was still there. He took his other arm, helping to carry her. "You fight like a soldier," he said. His voice was full of wonder and something like fear. "I was a soldier," said, "before I was a diplomat." They ran through the dark corridors. They followed, their claws scraping against metal, their voices making sounds that were almost like laughter. They were enjoying the hunt. 2 soldiers fell behind, heard their screams cut short. She did not stop. She could not save everyone. She had learned that lesson long ago. The shuttle was ahead. Captain was at the door, his face white with fear, waving for them to hurry. A dropped from the ceiling in front of. It was huge, bigger than the others, its shell covered with old scars. A leader. It looked at her with its 6 red eyes. It made a sound that might have been a word. "Human," it said. Its voice was like breaking glass. "We remember humans. You taste like fear and fire." Raised her weapon. The power cell was empty. The leader smiled, showing all its teeth. It raised one claw to strike. Dropped the weapon and moved. She did not think. Her body acted on instinct, on memories written in muscle and bone. She stepped inside the creature's reach, too close for its claws to work properly. She grabbed a blade from its belt and drove it up through the soft spot under its jaw. They made a wet, choking sound. Its eyes went dark one by one. Pulled out the blade and let the body fall. She was breathing hard. Her arm was bleeding. One of the creature's claws had caught her during the fight. She looked down at the wound. It was deep and ugly, cutting through skin and muscle. Blood ran down her fingers and dripped onto the floor. She felt the pain, but it was distant, like something happening to someone else. She tore a strip from her dress and tied it around her arm. Her hands were steady. Her face showed nothing. Was staring at her. His light was very dim now, almost gone. He looked like he might faint. "How?" he whispered. "How did you do that?" Wiped the blade on her dress. The blue silk was ruined now, stained with silver blood and black blood and her own red human blood. "We should go," she said. "There will be more of them." They reached the shuttle. The survivors piled inside. Captain sealed the door and started the engines. The ship lifted off and flew away from the dead vessel as fast as it could go. Inside, they sat in shocked silence. Half their team was dead. The rest were wounded or broken. Sat in a corner, still holding the blade. She was looking at nothing. Her eyes were far away. Came to sit beside her. His hands were shaking so badly that he could not keep them still. "I called you beautiful," he said quietly. "I called you delicate. I thought you were fragile." Turned to look at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were old, older than her years, the eyes of someone who had seen too much death. "I am fragile," she said. "I break easily, I bleed easily, I feel pain just like you do." She touched the wound on her arm. "The difference is that we do not stop when we break. We do not stop when we bleed. We do not stop when we feel pain." Swallowed hard. "What are you?" Looked at her bloody hands. She remembered other times she had looked at hands like these, on Colony, in the burning hospitals, in the mass graves. "I am human," she said. "You wanted to know what that means. Now you are starting to learn." She leaned back against the wall and closed her eyes. Inside her chest, something that had been sleeping was now fully awake. And it was hungry for war. The shuttle returned to harmony in silence. No one spoke. They sat with their heads down, their lights dim and flickering. They looked like candles about to go out. Worked on the wounded. Her hands moved with quick, sure motions. She cleaned wounds. She sealed cuts. She set broken bones. They watched her with something like fear in their eyes. This was not the pretty diplomat who had arrived on the station. This was something else, something they did not understand. When they landed, medical teams rushed to help, stepped back and let them take over. Her work was done for now. Grabbed her arm. The other woman was on a stretcher, barely conscious, but her grip was strong. "Thank you," whispered. "You saved me." "We saved each other," said. "Rest now, you have earned it." They took to the medical bay, followed but stopped her at the entrance. "You need treatment too," he said. "Your arm." Looked down at her wound. The cloth she had tied around it was soaked with blood. The pain was getting harder to ignore. "I have had worse," she said. "I am sure you have," hesitated. "Will you let me help you, please?" There was something in his voice, something gentle, something that reminded her of times before the war when people were kind to each other for no reason. She nodded. Took her to a small treatment room. He brought medical supplies and sat beside her on a silver bench. His hands were still shaking a little, but he tried to hide it. "I am not a trained medic," he admitted, "but I know the basics." "That is enough," said. She pulled back her sleeve to show the wound. It was deep and ugly, still bleeding slowly, made a soft sound of distress. "This needs proper care," he said. "Stitches, medicine." "Then do it." He worked carefully, cleaning the wound and sealing it with a medical device that hummed softly against her skin. Watched his face while he worked. He was concentrating hard, his silver eyes focused on his task. "You are different from what I expected," she said. Looked up. "What do you mean?" "Most see humans as pets, pretty things to look at. You actually care." Was quiet for a moment. "I have always been curious about other species. I wanted to understand them, not judge them." He finished sealing her wound and sat back. "I thought I understood humans. I was wrong." "What did you think we were?" "Artists, dreamers, creators of beautiful things." He shook his head slowly. "I did not know you were also warriors." Rolled her sleeve back down. "We are everything we have to be. Our world is not kind." Nodded, then his eyes moved to her back. Her dress had torn during the fighting, and through the tear he could see something. Lines, patterns, scars. "May I?" he asked softly. Was quiet for a long time. No one had seen her scars since she left Earth. She had hidden them carefully always from everyone. But something in his eyes told her he would not judge. He would not look away in horror. He simply wanted to understand. She turned around and lowered the back of her dress. Made no sound, but she heard his breath catch in his throat. The scars covered her entire back. Burn marks that spread like rivers of fire. Long white lines from blades and claws. Small round holes from weapons she could not name. A map of pain written on her skin. "What happened to you?" whispered. Stared at the wall. "War happened." "Tell me, please." She closed her eyes. The memories came whether she wanted them or not. "I was a combat medic," she said. "On a colony world called. It was a beautiful place, green hills, blue oceans. Families lived there. Children played in the streets." She paused, waited. The came without warning. They came in the night and they killed everyone they found. Men, women, children, they did not care. Her voice was flat, empty, like she was reading from a list. I was in the medical center when the attack started. We tried to save as many as we could, but there were too many wounded, too many dying, and they kept coming. She touched one of the scars on her shoulder. The building caught fire. I carried 2 soldiers out through the flames. My back was burning. My skin was melting, but I kept walking. I could not stop. Slight was almost gone now. He was pale and sick. My squad was killed trying to protect the evacuation ships. I found them afterward, what was left of them. His voice cracked just a little. My brother was in that squad. We never found his body, just his dog tags. She pulled her dress back up and turned to face. So yes, I have scars. Every human who survived has scars, outside and inside. We carry them with us always. Looked at her with new eyes. She was not a flower. She was not a delicate thing to be protected. She was a survivor, a warrior, a woman who had walked through fire and refused to die. You called me beautiful, said, but beauty on earth is not about perfection. It is about surviving. It is about carrying your wounds and still standing. Reached out and took her hand. His skin was warm and soft. You are beautiful, he said. More beautiful than I knew, not because of how you look, because of what you are. Felt something warm move through her chest, something she had not felt in a long time. Then a voice came through the speakers. It was Captain, and he sounded scared. Commander, delegate, please come to the command center immediately. We are receiving a signal from the derelict ship. Someone is still alive. Stood up, who? The voice hesitated. The signal is using a human military code. The sender identifies himself as Sergeant. The world stopped. Could not breathe, could not think, her brother, her dead brother, calling for help. She ran, burst into the command center like a storm. Her heart was pounding so hard she could feel it in her teeth. Her hands were shaking, and she could not make them stop. Elder stood at the central console, her silver face cold and calm. Around her, officers worked at their stations, their lights dim with fear. Play it again, said. Her voice was not a request. Looked at her with disapproval. You forget your place, human. You do not give orders here. Play it. Something in his eyes made step back. The elder waved her hand, and the signal played through the speakers. Static noise, then a voice. A human voice, weak and broken but alive. This is Sergeant, Korean Marine Corps, calling any human frequency. I am aboard the derelict vessel. I am alive. Sister, if you can hear this, I am alive. Grabbed the edge of the console. Her legs felt weak. Her vision blurred with tears she refused to let fall. Her little brother, the boy who used to follow her everywhere, the soldier who had gone to war and never come home. He was alive. This is a trap, said. They are using him as bait. Anyone can see that. I do not care, said. You would walk into certain death for one man. Turned to face her. That one man is my brother. I would walk into a sun for him. Made a sound of disgust. This is why humans are unfit for serious matters. You let emotion rule you. You make foolish choices. Yes, said, we do. That is what makes us human. She looked at who had followed her into the room. I need a shuttle, weapons, supplies. I am going back to that ship. Hesitated. The elder is right. This is almost certainly a trap. They want you to come back. I know. You could die. I know, stepped closer to him. But I have spent 2 years thinking my brother was dead. 2 years carrying his dog tags like a tombstone. If there is any chance he is alive, I have to try. Looked at her for a long moment, then he nodded. I will go with you, he said. This is madness, said. I forbid it. I will not risk my people for human foolishness. Then do not send your people, said. Give me a shuttle and I will go alone. A new voice spoke from the doorway. She will not go alone. stood there leaning against the frame. She was pale and weak, her arm in a medical brace, but her eyes were hard and bright. "You should be resting," said. "I should be dead," walked into the room, ignoring the looks from the. "A human is trapped on that ship, a soldier. I will not leave him behind." "You can barely stand." "I can hold a weapon, that is enough." Looked at her. Two human women, broken and ready to walk into the dark for a man they had never met. One because he was family, one because he was human. This was what Earth made. This was what survived. "Very well," said, "we go together." Threw her hands up. "Fine, go and die. But when you fail, do not expect rescue. I will not send more of my people to their deaths." Did not respond. She was already walking toward the shuttle bay. The shuttle they took was small and fast. Sat at the controls, her hands moving with practiced ease. She had learned to fly during the war. Everyone learned everything during the war. Sat beside her, his light steady for the first time since the rescue mission. He was scared, but he was not running. Sat in the back, checking weapons. She had found a rifle that fit her good hand and a knife for her teeth if it came to that. "Why are you doing this?" asked. "Your elder told you not to come, you owe me nothing." Was quiet for a moment. "I spent my whole life studying other species from a distance, reading about them, watching recordings, but I never understood them." He looked at. "You are teaching me what it means to be human. I want to see how this ends." Almost smiled. "It might end badly." "I know, but I will be there when it does." The derelict ship appeared in the. It looked worse than before, darker, more dead. The distress lights had stopped blinking. Brought the shuttle in close and docked at a different airlock than before. They would be watching the old entrance. This might give them a few extra minutes. The doors opened. Darkness greeted them. They moved in silence, using hand signals and whispers. Took the lead, following the signal from transmission. It was coming from deep in the ship, near the engine room. The bodies from before were gone. They had taken them, did not want to think about why. They passed through corridor after corridor, stepping over wreckage and dried blood. The ship was a graveyard. Nothing lived here except monsters. Then they heard it, a voice singing softly in the darkness. It was a Korean song, a lullaby their mother used to sing, knew every word. She breathed. She ran and followed, but they could not keep up. She did not care. She had to find him. She had to see his face. The engine room was a massive space filled with dead machines and broken pipes. In the center, tied to a support beam, was a man. He was thin, too thin. His uniform was torn and covered with blood. His face was bruised and cut, but his eyes were open, and they were the same eyes she remembered. His voice was a whisper. "Is that really you?" She ran to him and fell to her knees. Her hands found his face. She touched him, making sure he was real. "It is me," she said. Tears were falling now, and she did not try to stop them. "I am here. I found you." "You came." He was crying too. "I knew you would come. I knew it." She started cutting his ropes. Her hands were shaking badly. "How did you survive? We thought you were dead." "They kept me alive," said. His voice was hollow. "They wanted to know things about humans, about our weaknesses. I did not tell them." "You are safe now. We are going home." "No," grabbed her arm. His grip was weak but urgent. "You do not understand. This is a trap. They let me send that signal. They wanted you to come." The lights came on. All around them, red eyes opened in the darkness. Dozens of them, hundreds. They had been waiting. Stood up slowly. She put herself between her brother and the monsters. "I know," she said. "I knew it was a trap." "Then why did you come?" She looked back at him over her shoulder. Her face was calm. Her eyes were fire. "Because you are my brother, and I have lost enough." She drew her weapon and turned to face the horde. "Come then," she said to the darkness. "Let me show you what humans do when we have nothing left to lose." They attacked. and became something they had never seen before, fired her weapon until it was empty. Then she threw it at the nearest and pulled out her knife. She moved through the monsters like water through stones, cutting and slashing and never stopping. She was not thinking. There was no room for thought. There was only the dance she had learned in blood and fire, the steps that her body knew better than her mind. A came at her from the left. She ducked under its claws, drove her blade into its throat, and spun away before the body hit the ground. Two more attacked together. She dropped to her knees and let them crash into each other, then cut their legs as they fell. 3 more, 4, 5. They kept coming and she kept killing. Behind her had taken a position near. Her rifle cracked again and again, each shot finding its mark. Her injured arm was screaming, but she did not stop. She could not stop. She shouted, "There are too many, we need to fall back." Did not answer. She was beyond words now, beyond reason. She was the thing that 2 years of grief and rage had made her. A monster of her own kind. Stood frozen at the entrance. He had never seen anything like this. The small woman in the torn blue dress, covered in blood, fighting like a demon. She was beautiful and terrible. She was death wearing human skin. A came at him from the side. He raised his weapon but could not make himself fire. Fear had locked his limbs. Appeared in front of him. Her blade took the creature in the chest, and she kicked its body away. "Stay behind me," she said. Her voice was calm, too calm. "There are too many," said. "We cannot win." "I know." She turned to face the horde again. "But we do not have to win, we just have to survive long enough." Long enough for what? An explosion shook the ship, then another, then a third. Smiled, it was not a pleasant smile. Long enough for that. She had set charges on her way in, small explosives hidden in the corridors. She had known this was a trap. She had planned for it. The explosions cut off the reinforcements. Walls of fire blocked the passages. For a few minutes, maybe longer, the creatures could not bring more fighters to the engine room. "Go," said. "Get to the shuttle, I will hold them here." "I am not leaving you," said. "This is not a debate. He cannot walk. You cannot carry him alone, take him and go." Tried to stand, but his legs would not hold him. "Sister, please, come with us." Looked at him. For a moment her eyes softened. The warrior disappeared, and there was just a woman looking at her little brother. "I will be right behind you," she said. "I promise." It was a lie. They all knew it was a lie. But grabbed and pulled him toward the door, hesitated. "Go," said, "please." Looked at her for a long moment. Then he stepped forward and did something strange. He kissed her forehead. "You are the most beautiful thing I have ever seen," he said, "and I do not mean your face." Then he turned and helped carry away. Watched them go. The warmth in her chest lasted for 3 heartbeats. Then she turned back to the. They had stopped attacking. They stood in a circle around her, their red eyes watching, their mouths moving in silent words. A figure pushed through the crowd. It was larger than the others, covered in old scars and marks of rank. A war leader. It looked at with something like interest. "You fight well for a prey creature," it said. Its voice was like knives scraping together. "We have killed many humans, but never one like you." "I am not like other humans," said. "No," the leader tilted its head. "You are what we make. We create warriors from the soft and weak. We carve strength from flesh. You are our greatest creation." Laughed. It was a cold, empty sound. "You did not create me," she said. "You only woke up what was already there." The leader made a gesture. The others stepped back, forming a larger circle. "Fight me," the leader said. 1 to 1. If you win, we let your friends go. If you lose, you kill us all anyway. Yes, but at least you will have died fighting. That is what humans want, is it not? A good death. Raised her knife. "I do not want a good death. I want to live, but I will take what I can get." They fought. The leader was fast and strong. Its claws were like swords, and its shell was thick enough to turn her blade. Could not match it for power. But she did not need to. She was smaller, faster. She could fit into spaces where it could not reach. She could twist and turn and bend in ways its body would not allow. She took wounds, many wounds, cuts on her arms, her legs, her chest. Blood ran down her body in red rivers. Pain screamed through her nerves. But she did not stop. She remembered. She remembered the fire. She remembered the friends she could not save and the brother she thought she had lost. She remembered what she was. Human. The thing that refused to die. She found an opening. The leader raised its arm to strike, and she ducked under the blow. Her blade went up, through the soft spot under the jaw, into the brain. The leader fell. Stood over its body, breathing hard. Blood dripped from her hands. The world was going gray at the edges. The other watched in silence. Then slowly they began to back away. They were afraid of her. Fell to her knees. She could not stand anymore. Her body was broken, but she was still alive. Go, she whispered to the retreating creatures. Tell the others. Tell them what you saw. Tell them what happens when you make humans fight. They disappeared into the darkness. Lay down on the cold metal floor. Above her she could see stars through a crack in the hull. They were beautiful. She closed her eyes and let the darkness take her. Back on Harmony, Elder stood before her. She had ordered a surveillance drone to follow the rescue team. She had seen everything. She had watched a human woman hold off an army with nothing but a knife and a will to live. She had watched the retreat in fear. What are they? She whispered. Beside her, a young officer shook his head. We called them beautiful. We called them fragile. We never asked what made them that way. Said nothing. She stared at the screen where lay motionless. Send a medical team, she said quietly. Full support, fastest ship we have. Elder turned away from the screen. I was wrong about them. I will not make that mistake again. For a long moment she did not know where she was. The ceiling above her was smooth and glowing like the inside of a pearl. The air smelled of flowers and medicine. There was no pain. She tried to move and found that she could. Her arms were wrapped in soft bandages. Her chest was covered with healing patches, but she was alive. A sound made her turn her head. Sat beside her bed, his face thin and tired but whole. He was watching her with tears in his eyes. You came back, he said. His voice broke on the words. You actually came back. Reached out and took his hand. I told you I would. You were dead. They said you were dead. Your heart stopped 3 times on the way back. They said no one could survive those wounds. Smiled weakly. No one told me that. Laughed. It was a wet, broken sound. You always were stubborn. I had a good teacher. They held hands in silence for a while. There were no words for what they felt. 2 years of grief and loss and hope. 2 years of thinking the other was gone forever. Now they were together again. The door opened and walked in. He looked different than before. His light was steady and bright, and there was something new in his eyes, something like respect. You are awake, he said. The doctor said you would sleep for another week. They do not know humans very well. No one does, said, not even us. Came closer and sat in a chair beside the bed. I need to tell you something. They sent a message to the station. Tensed, what did they say? They said they want us to hand over the humans, all of us. You, and if we give you to them, they will leave this sector in peace. If we refuse, they will attack. Yes. Closed her eyes. This was what she had feared. Her fight had not ended the war. It had only delayed it. What did Elder say? Was quiet for a moment. There will be a council meeting in 1 hour. All leaders of the station will attend. The decision will be made then. And you think they will hand us over? I do not know, looked at her with troubled eyes. I know what some of them are saying, that it is logical, 2 humans for thousands of lives. Sat up slowly. Pain moved through her body, but she ignored it. "Then I should be at that meeting," she said. The council chamber was the grandest room on the station. High ceilings covered with images of stars and planets, floating lights that moved like fireflies, a great round table where the leaders of harmony sat in their flowing robes. Elder stood at the head of the table. Her face was unreadable. Walked in slowly, leaning on for support. Walked beside her, still weak but standing tall. Behind them came, barely able to stay on his feet. 3 humans, broken and bleeding but standing. "You should not be here," said. "You are not part of this council." "The decision you make involves my life," said. "I have a right to speak." Murmurs ran through the council. Some looked at her with fear, others with curiosity, a few with disgust. Raised her hand for silence. "Very well, speak." Stepped forward, she looked at each face in turn. "I know what you are thinking," she said. "You are thinking about numbers, 2 humans against thousands of your people. The math is simple, the choice is easy." She paused. "But let me tell you something about humans. We do not think in numbers, we think in people, in names, in faces. Every life matters to us, even when the math says it should not." She touched her chest, where her heart was beating. "You asked what we are. You looked at us and saw flowers, pretty things, decorations." She shook her head. "We are not flowers. We are the soil that grows them. We are the storm that shapes them. We are everything that hurts and heals and refuses to break." She pointed at the window, where the stars burned in the black sky. "Out there they are waiting. They think you will give us up. They think you are too soft to fight, too gentle, too fragile." Her voice grew hard. "Prove them wrong." Stared at her. "You ask us to go to war for you." "No, I ask you to go to war with us." Looked at her with burning eyes. "Give us weapons. Give us soldiers. Let teach your pilots how to fight like humans. Let train your soldiers to survive. Let me show your medics how to keep fighting when their bodies tell them to stop. And if we lose, then we lose together, but we will not lose quietly. We will not lose gently. We will make them pay for every step they take." The council was silent, could see them thinking, weighing, calculating. Then stood up. "I have seen what she can do," he said. His voice was calm and clear. "I watched her fight an army with a knife. I watched her refuse to die when any other creature would have given up. If we surrender her to them, we prove that we are exactly what they think we are: weak, cowardly, unworthy of the stars." He looked at. "I vote to fight." Another voice spoke up, then another, then more. One by one, the council members rose to their feet. They voted to fight. When they came, they found something they did not expect. They found a station that was ready for them, ships that fought with new tactics, soldiers who did not freeze when they were wounded, medics who worked through fire and blood to save every life they could. They found humans leading the way. Commanded from the center of the defense, her voice calm even as the station shook around her. Flew combat missions until her ship was held together with wire and hope. Trained warriors who had never known war to fight like they had nothing to lose. The battle lasted 3 days. The retreated. Afterward stood at a viewport looking at the stars. Her body was covered with new scars. Her hands were shaking with exhaustion, but she was smiling. Found her there. "We won," he said. There was wonder in his voice. "For now," said, "they will come back." "Let them," came to stand beside her. "We will be ready." They stood in silence for a while, watching the stars burn. "You are still beautiful," said quietly. Turned to look at him. "I know. Different than before." "How?" Reached out and touched her hand. "Before I thought you were beautiful because you looked fragile, delicate, like something precious that needed protection." He shook his head. "I was a fool. You are beautiful because you are strong, because you survive, because you carry your scars and keep walking." Felt warmth spread through her chest, the old warmth, the kind that came before the war. You called me beautiful human, she said, but you never saw what I was underneath. I see it now. Looked at her reflection in the viewport glass. A woman with dark hair and tired eyes. A woman covered in scars that told stories of pain and survival. A woman who had walked through fire and come out the other side. Good, she said, now you understand. Outside, the stars kept burning. And somewhere in the darkness, they were learning to fear a new word. Human.